So yeah, good morning and thank you guys for having me today. I'm going to start a little before my startup journey because I think it kind of gives an idea of why I work the way I work. And I know that, you know, times have changed a little bit, but it's still, from speaking with other business owners, especially female founders, it has, situations like this have happened to a number of people. So back in 2013, before I had my children, so I've got 3 children, I worked for one of the big 4 banks. I'm not going to name which one. I was there for 7 or 8 years and worked my way from teller right up through to branch manager. I loved my job. I put in 110% and I was really passionate about that. So I had the opportunity before I went away on my honeymoon to step in and run my own branch for a little bit because the branch wasn't performing, and it was my, I guess, opportunity to see if I could get it up to help them hit their KPIs. So I loved that, and I was able to get the branch up to the level that they needed it at. I then got married, went away on my honeymoon, and came back, and I was pregnant. Didn't tell my manager at the time, but a couple of weeks into being back at work after my honeymoon, I got called into the office and essentially was offered a position to head in and run my own branch, which was amazing. In that same, I guess, conversation, I did let them know that I was 3 months pregnant, but wanted to continue on with my career. And in that moment, I guess I felt a little bit like I was choosing my family or my career. That's what my manager kind of made me feel like. Whereas I didn't understand why I couldn't have both, because, you know, women can do it all, right? It was a couple of weeks after that I accepted the position, and then it was basically taken off me, and someone from that branch, it was given to someone from that branch. So I didn't last long after that. I resigned. And I guess the reason I'm telling that story is because I'm very driven, and I feel like a little bit from that experience, I took away that just because you're a female and you may have a family, it doesn't stop you or doesn't prohibit you from still reaching your goals and having the career that you want to have. So from that, so I just wanted to share that because, from that I am very driven and ambitious and just want to, I guess, prove the world wrong, right? So that was back in 2013. So that was when I had my first child. So I went on to have 3 children, and we lived in Maitland, just in Maitland here. And in 2018, we went on a road trip. So this was pre-COVID. And we used to do this every year because my brother lives up in Queensland. So it's a 10-hour road trip from Maitland up into Queensland. And because we'd done it a fair few times, I knew to pack, a couple of extra towels and extra clothes and things like that. So this year, my children were 5, 3 and 1. And they were fine before we left. But 2 hours into the road trip, my eldest daughter says to me that she feels sick. But before she can finish saying that, the spew's flying everywhere already. So it was a really long 8 hours up to my brother's. And I don't know if you guys have been in the car when a child spewed, but the smell doesn't go anywhere. And I don't even think that the smell leaves the car seat ever, no matter how much you wash it. So we used the towels that I packed, and we also used our clean clothes to try and put underneath her as she was sick. So it turns out she had a vomiting bug before we left, and we had no idea because she was running around fine. So we get to Queensland, and I went online to try and find a product that would, I guess, absorb the spew with a waterproof backing so that I didn't have to clean out a spewy car seat ever again, and wasn't able to find anything. And I guess that's the first instance of where the spewy was kind of a thought, where maybe I could do this product. So we go away on our holiday, everyone else obviously gets sick because it's some sort of vomiting bug, and then we come back and I ended up borrowing a friend's sewing machine, and I'm not a sewer, so what I created was very basic and not sellable at all, but I borrowed a friend's sewing machine and I went to Spotlight and to Clark Rubber to find out what the most absorbent material was and kind of like put all that together to make the first Spewy. I made a couple of those. I gave it to the kids to try, gave it to some family and friends, and they're like, we really like the concept, but your sewing skills are pretty shit. And I'm like, I know. So I then went onto Alibaba to try and find a manufacturer just to do a small run of this product that I kind of had in my head. And it took me 6 months to find someone that would make what I was wanting to make rather than try and sell me their products that they already had. So the Spewy essentially is a cotton top layer, which is like a nice print that kids enjoy. The middle layers are microfiber and terry toweling, and then the bottom layer is polyurethane laminate, which is PUL. So it's the same material that modern cloth nappies are made from, and it's just a waterproof backing, so it stops anything from leaking through. So yeah, so 6 months to find a manufacturer, and by the 6 month stage, I was nearly at the end of the journey for me. I couldn't find anyone, and I really believed in the product because of obviously what my friends and family had said from the ones I'd tried to make, and I knew that I needed it myself for my kids. So it was the last manufacturer that I was speaking to that said that she would do a small run of 200 units, and that's how it started. So the first order of 200 units arrived, and being really naive, so I had no business knowledge whatsoever. All I had was my banking background. So the first 200 units arrived, and I thought that, awesome, we've got this massive business, we're gonna build a website, we're gonna sell it in like a week. Yeah, that did not happen. It took 8 months, I think it was, to sell those 200 units, and I didn't understand why, but I knew I needed to find out what I was doing wrong and learn, I guess, how to sell properly. So I ended up joining the business centre. They had a couple of programs on where they basically, it's a bit similar to I2N, they take you in and basically go over your business and go, we need to focus on this, this and this, and it's all about setting up your business correctly. So identifying who your customer is, what their pain points are, how to address that. So I went through their ideation and accelerator programs and learnt a lot during that time. I made some really cool friends as well. And I had the opportunity at the end to go to 3 pitch evenings, which is basically where you get up, you pitch your idea for whatever it may be, for investment or for contacts. I pitched for contacts in like the wholesale kind of market, and I won 2 out of those 3 pitches for most scalable products. So it was a really good opportunity. And at that time I hadn't done any public speaking, so getting up in a room full of 50, 60 people gave me heart palpitations, scared the shit out of me. However, I learned that the more you put yourself out of your comfort zone, the more you grow personally and the more the business grows, because you meet people, you network, and I think that that's a really important part of business as well, is just having those connections and having support and bouncing ideas off other people who are in business as well. So I'd grown the business in early 2020. I'd grown the business to, I guess, what I call the next level. And again, I got stuck. I couldn't get it any further. And again, I didn't know what I didn't know. So in March, a week before we all learnt what a lockdown was, I signed up to a business course I'd found online that was in all the Facebook groups, and it had a really good feedback from people who'd been through that business program. And it was one-on-one, 6 months intensive. Every week you're meeting with your mentor, your coach, to go over what you'd done that previous week. So it was you were very accountable for the program. So I decided that for us it was an investment. The course I think cost like $5,000 at the time. The business didn't have that money. So I spoke to my then husband and sort of said, you know, I really think that this is going to help me. I'm going to learn a lot. And if it doesn't work after the 6 months, if I haven't grown it to that next point, then I told him that I would give up on the idea. I was never going to do that. But for him to say, yes, we can use our own savings, he's $5,000, I said what I had to basically, to be able to do that. and yeah, so signed up to this business one-on-one mentorship program. And then a week after that, COVID hit. So I found myself at home with 3 kids trying to homeschool and essentially work full-time on the business and this course. To be honest, there was a fair bit of alcohol involved, but in the end we all survived. The kids were fine and I got through the course. And from 2020 to 2021, the business grew by 900%. So it was definitely worthwhile. And ex-husband was happy with that. And at this point I was still working at home in Maitland. So we had a high set house. So I basically had a corner of the kitchen was my office, the lounge room was my packing area, and I was doing everything at this stage myself. 2021, ex-husband built enclosed an area downstairs because it was a high set house. So that became my office and packing area. And then the stock would just kind of sit underneath the house. And then we sold up and moved out to Dungog. And that's where I got my first warehouse, which is a little, probably twice the size of this room was my first warehouse. Very quickly, we ran out of room again. So then I leased the warehouse next to that. And now I've got a shipping container next to that as well. We've got a 3rd warehouse nearly built. So it should be ready in a couple of months, fingers crossed, by the end of financial year that we're going to be moving into, which will be able to hold all of our stock and also allow the business to keep growing, because at the moment we're kind of limited by the space that we've got. I have 6 employees that work with me now in the business, from social media manager to the girls that come in and pack the orders and do the stock. And all bar one are local mums who work around school hours. So for me, it was really important as a female founder that I provide employment when I could and can, provide employment opportunities for women who do want to get back out into the workforce with children. And earlier on, we even had a little corner set up, so if the kids were sick or if something happened, their mum could still bring them in, they were sorted and she could still come to work. So I feel really passionate about that because I don't feel that there's many opportunities for women to get back in the workforce and have that really good work-life balance. So if I can, I want to be able to provide those opportunities. And then the other thing I sort of wanted to mention too, and it goes back to that networking. When we moved to Dungog, it is a really small country town, and we had a few issues in terms of being able to get our orders out when we moved there. So the Australia Post truck only came, I think they came 5 days a week, but with our orders, they couldn't fit them all on there on a Friday. So I called Australia Post and they essentially told me that if I wanted to run a business, I had to go somewhere to Newcastle or Sydney to make it work. And for me, one of the things I really thrive on is a challenge. And a no is never, obviously in a professional sense, no is always an opportunity to turn that into a yes. So the no I got from Australia Post was, okay, well, let's get this done then. So I joined a local chamber and went to a few meetings and met the local MP. And I had a bit of a chat to him about the situation that we were in, about not being able to get all our orders out each week. And then he spoke to his people, and now we have an extra truck on Fridays to take our orders out from Australia Post. So if there's anything that you guys take away from that today, is that don't let a no stop you in business. There's always ways around things that you're trying to achieve and want to do. Yeah, and also the other thing I just want to mention as well is whatever decision you come up against in business, and this is what I've always tried to do, is we have intuition, right? So always listen to your gut. Like, look at your data and your analytics and all that as well. But at the end of the day, if your gut says yes, then go with it. And if it says no, then just stop for a second, take a step back, and and have a look at things again. And so far today, my gut hasn't led me wrong. So really listen to that. So now we are a pretty big business, I think I can say. We have stockists around Australia. We've brought out some other products like our bed mats for toilet training that go on top of the bottom sheet, so parents don't have to fully change their sheets in the middle of the night. They just take the bed mat off, put the other one on, so everyone gets back to sleep a lot quicker. And this year, what year are we up to? March. Last year we got our first stockist in Singapore. So yeah, and I think I've covered all my notes.
That's super inspiring, especially the opening story that you had, and then moving into the culture that you're building in your own workplace.
Yeah.
The month working around the school hours and the family hours. That's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. So we have a couple of questions we've taken from everyone, business related, challenge related, we can go through. So the first question, which is from Bev Simpson from Ignite Culture Consulting, has asked, what advice can you offer to other female founders and entrepreneurs more broadly?
To surround yourself with like-minded people, so other people in business, network, and really build that support around you, because business, and as a sole operator, I don't have a business partner, so it does get really lonely sometimes, and you don't have anyone to bounce ideas off, even just to talk it out. You don't need anyone to say yes or no, you just need to talk it out to be able to come to the decision that you're trying to make yourself. So just to surround yourself with other people in business, things like, I2N, join your Chamber of Commerce, and I guess know your why, understand why you're doing this, and show that.
Powerful blast, know your why, definitely, like the North Star.
Yeah.
Just a heads up, we have an event next week, 2 weeks from now, about funding a co-founder, because if you can fund a co-founder, it does take a burden off just a touch. Next question from Mika, who's a member at our Hub and a past Accelerator participant, and we were this morning. She's asked, how do you differentiate in such a saturated market? What was your strategy, or how did you optimize a big reach across the country?
Yeah, so to really know your customer and understand their pain points and speak to them about their pain points and what you can do to overcome them and make their life easier, because everyone's out there looking for a solution for something. So just being able to speak your customer's language to them without selling to them, if that makes sense.
Makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So glad you said that. Speak to the pains of the customer, delight them in ways they didn't expect you to.
Yeah. And also, I think another big thing for humans is that we can say, as a business owner, we can say, yeah, this is amazing, this is what it can do for you. But then having testimonials from other people that have used your products is a lot stronger than you just saying, this is amazing. So really try and get testimonials off your customer to share on your socials or on your website.
Yeah, you've got them right up front on your website. They're very quick and easy to get to.
Yeah.
Mika has a follow-up question.
Yep.
She asked, when was that moment of Spewy scaling much bigger, and what insights or suggestions do you have when you hit that scale, that tipping point?
Yes, I think that was when COVID hit, and I was doing the business course because I didn't know about I2N or anything like that at the time. And setting up, just learning the things that I didn't know, like setting the website up properly, having a lead magnet, having a customer journey, knowing what that customer journey is, knowing how to see where your customers are falling off, knowing how to look at your analytics and plugging those holes that customers are falling out through. And having your business work for you when you're not working, so like setting up your automations, whether that's emails, doing your social media, scheduling, that's the word I'm looking for, thank you. Yeah, scheduling, things like that. So trying to work in advance a little bit more, which is really hard, and I still struggle with that sometimes. because things change every day in business. You know, you're constantly putting out I feel like I'm constantly putting out little fires. Something's always going wrong. Not wrong, everything's a learning opportunity, but yeah, just trying to automate as much as possible. Yeah.
Working smart.
Smarter, not harder, yeah.
Nicolette Stambulides, who's a Met sales manager, has asked a really, really good question, which is how much money did you put into the business before you saw a return? And maybe you could speak to that from the perspective of the stages that I'm sure you have in your mind about the early stage, the mid stage, and where you are now.
Yeah.
Can you talk about how much resources each of those took to hit that next growth?
Yeah. So before I started the Spewy, let me start that again, sorry. So being at home with the kids, so I was a stay-at-home mum, was amazing, but my brain needed to work. I couldn't not do anything. So between having my kids and starting Spewy, I actually made candles at home just for something to do and to sell at local markets and just to use my brain a little bit. So that was more of a hobby rather than a business. And I sold all my candle supplies and everything, and that for, I think it was like $2,500. And that was the initial funding for the first lot of Spewies. And then we obviously had in 2020, I put in $5,000 of our own money for that business course. And during that next year, I invested another $20,000 into the business. I didn't start, I guess, the return on that, I didn't start taking a wage until the third year. I'm in the fifth year now, which was only a really small wage. I think it was like 40 grand a year or something. Yeah.
That's awesome. So it's like 27 and a half over 2 years, almost 3 years startup.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
And
now I work.
Money, right?
Yeah.
You're using business money to grow from reinvesting.
Yeah. And now I work more than full time. Like, who works full time, right? I work 24/7 on the business. It's my full time job, and
Awesome. So price discovery. Heather Hocking from Water Monitor has asked a really good question around this, which is how do you determine scope and price point? How do you let the market price you, or how do you price the market?
So I just did, when I started out, I just did, what my cost price is, times 2 for wholesale, times 2 for retail, because there wasn't really anything like the Spewy on the market. However, with the bed mats, there are other companies that do similar type products. So with that, I've based my pricing around those, but I think I'm still the most expensive on the market. And that's obviously because I'm smaller than all the other companies and I don't have the buying capacity at the amount of units that they do. However, what sets, I think, my company apart is that our customer service, we're contactable 24/7 on socials, online, on email. And I think, that's a really big part of it. Like, you can increase, you can have a bit higher price than, say, a similar business, but you've got to provide more value because of that. Yeah.
You got to really speak to the particular customer that you're dealing with, and you're being smaller, you can be more agile and change and shop as you need to.
Yeah.
Awesome. A question from Aidan Hart. They've asked, how did you network and decide which people and or businesses to work with, so employees and partners? What's your vetting process?
Again, go with my gut. And I know that that's not really, business smart, but the staff I have are amazing and they go above and beyond. They really do. It feels more like a little work family than, these people work with me. And I think resumes can say so much. I know when I was last looking at putting another person on, I had this resume emailed to me, perfect on paper. We went to the local coffee shop, had a coffee, just had a chat, and it just didn't feel right. So again, just going with your gut and not wavering from that at all, and kind of having an idea of the type of person that you want that will help not just work in your business, but if they've got other skills or things that they can help then grow, then maybe look at doing that as well. Like, I've got a new admin person I put on this year, and I didn't think that she would want to work with me, but she applied last time I put out that I was looking for someone, and she's done amazing in her career. So she's kind of retired now, but coming on to help me. She was like the regional sales manager for like Pet Barn. She helped Kmart when they went through all their changes, and amazing. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I really want this lady on my team. So I said, this is the job though. It's just admin. It's just helping, and whatever other skills you have, if you can see anything that I can do different or better, like I'm all ears. Anyway, she said yes, and she's been with me for 3 months, and the girls love her, and she just takes initiative, and she's helped save us some postage, and she's
all these little things
amazing.
That you would only have given the experience that she's
Yeah. So being open, like when you do take on people, being open to their ideas as well, like it's as much as it's your business, everyone thinks differently. So someone might come to you with something that you're like, I didn't even think of that. Like, that's a great idea. Let's investigate that. So just being open to other people's ideas as well, because at the end of the day, I feel like if you work as a team, you're going to get more out of that, and they're going to give you more as well, because they feel like they're contributing to the growth of your business too.
Part of it, yeah. And it's also, it's a normal thing, especially in small business, that you get a lot of people who become or are generalists, and they'll sort of cross over to do other things and flex as they need to, because the work needs to be done, and they just can, which is awesome. So we've got some challenge-related questions that have been submitted, and Monique asks, the baby market is challenging. How are you able to enter the market? What gave you the sign, other than your lived experience, that you were able to pull this off?
I believed in myself and backed myself, essentially. And I think going into business, you always have to back yourself, no matter what, and never give up. So for me, I knew that this wasn't going to fail because I wasn't going to let it fail. And I know how that sounds a little bit, but you have to back yourself and just, and network and go into all the, the mummy Facebook groups and put out your product and
Did you get pushback from different groups that you joined, like saying, please don't sell here, please try to promote?
You read the group rules first. Okay. Right. But I did get pushback on, quite early on, I contacted a potential stockist, and I've got their email up on our board, and it's 4 years old now, and I like seeing that. So anything that I've got a no on, I put up, and I'm like, right, let's change the narrative on that. So essentially, I emailed them, sent them the product, and go, we'd love to stock in your stores. And the email I got back was really nice. It was like, I hope you do well. Small business is amazing. We don't like the product, we don't like the name, and we think you should change it to this, and we think you should do this, this, and this. And I'm like, awesome, but that just gave me even more drive to go, you know what? No. So that email is up on our corkboard at work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's so good. Take away from that, don't tell Joe no. Kate Patel has asked a great question, which is, what are the biggest learnings you've had along the way since starting a business? So maybe horrific learnings or delightful learnings. What are the big ones that you've had?
To constantly keep working on you and your mindset, because it's not all let's go out and do this and this is always going to work. Like, you do get pushback, things fail, and it's just about changing your mindset to, if this doesn't work, it's not a failure. What do we learn from that so we do it differently next time? So it's just, I'm really strong about like mindset and how you think, and having, I guess, not a positive, happy attitude all the time, but just being able to see the positives in everything and to take things from the negatives to turn around. And I guess from a business point of view, just always staying on top of your numbers, knowing your numbers, and trusting your gut.
Perfect. And that's a perfect segue into the next question from Bradley Barlow, who's a postgrad student at uni. He's asked, entrepreneurship frequently demands introspection and adaptation, which may entail adopting or modifying personal beliefs, taking challenges on and changing. On your journey, in your experience, what pivotal belief was challenged that you had?
So I thought that everything had to be perfect all the time. So in business, near enough is good enough most times, because things aren't set and forget. So for your website, it's constantly, like our website's never going to be perfect. It's constantly changing, always needs updating. But to get something out there, near enough, in terms of like website and things like that, near enough is good enough, because you can always change and update. So just changing that mindset from, this isn't perfect, we've missed this isn't in it yet. Like if you just get it out there, then you can work on it whilst you've got something coming in from that.
So in your very start, when you got your 200 units, how long did it take you to build the courage to get your brand out there in whatever state that it was in?
How long?
How long did you sit there and on what you're putting out?
I did the website straight away.
Yeah.
For me, it was more about, okay, I've built this website. Why aren't the people coming? Like, why is no one buying this? It's awesome. And that's, again, goes back to you don't know what you don't know. So always, and I guess that's another thing, always keep educating yourself on different things. Like I think I'm in like 3 courses that I'm doing online at the moment, just to extend my knowledge of like my emails and automations and different things like that. So just keep learning, whether that's, I2N or your own little courses you find online. Always keep learning and adapting and changing.
How does, you're in our mentor program, you've also been in the business houses, the business centres mentor program.
Yeah.
And the business connect program. How has that impacted your journey at different stages, those particular people and particular services that you've drawn upon?
Yeah, so the business centre was I don't know what the word, it was really important for me to basically get the business moving along at those early stages. Again, I didn't know what I didn't know and had no business experience, so just going in and speaking to the mentors and coaches there and meeting other people in business and getting ideas from them about what worked and what didn't work, and then trying that in the business myself, it was really good. And now with the mentors that I have here, I guess I'm at another stage where it's bigger issues that I'm looking at, and those bigger issues, again, I run this myself, so I had no one at that higher level now to kind of bounce ideas off, and the girls at work, you don't do that with them, because it's, I guess, higher level, if that makes sense.
And you do have quite a powerhouse mentor team. You've got some people with some really good experience and expertise that can hand in hand.
Yeah, and if they don't know, I guess, what I'm trying to solve, then they may know people who know. And it's not about them giving me the answers, it's just that to and fro, back and forward, to be like, oh, okay, I hadn't thought of that, maybe we could look at doing that. Yeah.
This is our final question from Dean Panel from Innovate Studios. He's asked, what have you learned and what do you know that you wish you knew at the start of your startup journey?
I've learned to never stop learning, and what I wish I'd known at the start of my journey, that I wouldn't just build a website and they'd come. Like, you have to put in the work. I also didn't know how much time and energy that a business would take up. Like a space in your head, like it's constantly, you live and breathe your business. So I didn't realise, how much time and energy and sometimes money a business takes as well. And I guess to combat that, I think it's really important to look after your mental health while you have a business as well. And I guess that comes down to, your mindset, but also your physical health as well. So being physically active helps keep your head clear and you're more, you can fit more in your head, I guess.
Yes, amen to that. You definitely need to get out there and move your body. It's so true.
Yeah.
We have some time. Can I know the time? I don't think the clock with me.
8:42.
Thank you. We have 10 minutes. Does anyone have any questions that they'd like to joke?
Thanks. And thanks so much. It's been really great to listen to you and your experience. In terms of going through Alibaba and then taking 6 months to find a manufacturer for your products, did you have any further issues in terms of quality control and things like that? Or are you stuck with that same original manufacturer?
I'm still with the same manufacturer. So she's kind of changed and grown as I've grown. So like our first order was 200 units and now we get 40-foot shipping containers every 3 months. So her business has kind of grown with mine. So when I met her, she was working in a business and now she works out of the business. So I put my orders through her, then she puts it onto the warehouse. So she does all the quality control. And you know, some things still get through, and we just have a spreadsheet we send to her each month of the things that have slipped through. But yeah, I think in that sense I was really lucky. I know that there are different businesses, I think in Australia, that help between you and the manufacturer, so you can speak to them and then they can deal with all of that for you. I didn't know about that at the time, so I just went straight to there. Yeah, so we speak every week, and we have monthly Zooms. Yeah.
Have you had to deal with IP and trademarking and patents?
Yeah, so we've trademarked. We can't patent because which is one of the things I went through in the business centre, because the materials that we're using aren't new, and it isn't really a new way to, as much as it's a new way to put them all together, it's not a new material. Yeah, so we can't patent, so we've just trademarked. And I guess that was something that I was told really early on, that if I was going to make this work as a business, it was speed to market before, you know, the big guys kind of came in and took it out from underneath me.
So your customers are mainly, you're selling mainly to end users, or just resellers who are selling to end users?
So 90 or 80% at the moment is we're selling directly to the consumer, and about 20% of the business is wholesale.
Have you gone into an idea of distributors, people who are selling into hospitals or things like that, who are already set up?
Yeah, so last year we did a lot of PR, and I did speak to a hospital in regards to having something like the Spewy in their kids, I think it was the kids cancer area section, I don't know what that's called, sorry. And they were doing a revamp, I think, at the time, and that kind of never eventuated anywhere. But I think it's definitely a good idea. We did go around to the Ronald McDonald houses, and I left samples at them just for the parents and just to, get some feedback. But nothing eventuated from that. And at that time, I didn't have staff, so it was just me doing everything. But now I'm trying to move towards working on the business rather than in the business. And now with the growth, I've got that opportunity now to look at that a little bit more. Yeah.
Is that something that you're trying to transition to into more of the B2B, more of the general distributors?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Any other questions? Yeah.
So in terms of your fabrics and things, like you said, when you started with Spotlight and Clark Rubber and that sort of thing, how much has that changed to what you're using with Alibaba? And did you send Alibaba what you had for them to replicate something similar, or did they send you like numerous samples until you got the final product? Or?
So the first initial one that I made actually had, I took the idea from a change table. So you know how you got a change table and you've got the foam and the plastic stuff over it? So that was kind of the idea of like what the Spewy would be. So the first one I made actually had foam, like it was sewn around a bit of foam. And I gave that to the kids to use in the car, and they're like, we don't want to use this, like we're not holding this in the car. And I was talking with, my then husband at the time. I'm like, I don't understand how I can make this better for them to use and still work. And this is again one of those things where just bouncing ideas around. He's like, well, why do you need the foam in it? I'm like, light bulb moment. So I took the foam out. So I didn't send them my sample, and my sample had like literally plastic on the back of it, where we don't use plastic in our products. And I just said, look, these are the materials I want to use. This is the size. Can you make a couple up, send to me, and we'll go from there. And it was just a bit of back and forward like that until we had the size and the materials worked the way I wanted them to.
Anyone else in the chat? Yeah, Warren.
Can you say a little bit more about your growth strategy? Was it like social or online or word of mouth? Or how did you kind of take it?
So online, the website, and then once the website was up, we started doing just paid ads. And now it's more social media. So we rely heavily on influencers. Our influencer marketing is our bread and butter, really.
Core of your marketing strategy.
Yeah, because when we have influencers post, all the other avenues pick up as well. And obviously Facebook ads have changed a lot in the last, 3-4 years. They don't really give us much of a return, but we have them there because we still get the leads in from them, and when the influencers go live, everything works together.
Optics.
Yeah. So social media. Yeah.
Specifically
Influencers. So I have a social media manager now that works with me.
Okay.
Because I don't like social media. I prefer not to be on my phone, but obviously running a business, you're always on your phone. Yeah.
We have time for one last question.
I was just going to ask, who was your first hire? Because I think, when you have your own business and you do have to really open yourself up and really know that you can trust this person. Like, was it somebody to help in packing? Was it something sales? Was it the social media?
It was packing the orders, yeah. So my first hire was when I was still at Maitland, and they came in my garage into my little space they had there. And she was so again, this goes back to networking. So I met a gentleman at one of the pitch events who then I did a podcast with, and his daughter was looking for a job. So then she came and worked for me until I moved to Dungog.
Very Newcastle story.
Yes. Yeah.
That's it. Thank you. Can we please give it up for Joe?
Thank you.